you hear this? Apparently raccoons are now considered urban employees in Toronto, and they get benefits. I swear, I saw it on a reel.
Okay, so apparently Canada is switching to a 4-day weekend. Not like a 4-day work week, like a 4-day weekend.
I saw this thing that said if you don't take your shoes off on a plane, the airline can actually fine you. Like, it's a new rule. They're cracking down.
Or you could get the real story. Hi, I'm Karen Ciolin, an award-winning news reporter and host of the Big Story podcast. My team and I break down what's actually happening, from world-shaping events to the everyday stories that spark debate, so you can make sense of it all. We're here to explain what matters and why it matters to you, and give you the context you need for those kitchen table conversations. Trusted, Canadian-focused, curious, news that connects the dots. Listen to The Big Story wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, welcome to Someone Else's Movie, the original podcast where an actor, writer, director, or nebulous industry figure gives a little love to a movie they didn't make. I'm Norm Wilner, I'm a critic, consultant, and programmer based in Toronto, and I have a cold. My guest this week is Peter Glanz, a writer and director whose credits include the Jason Bateman dramedy The Longest Week, and 2 films co-written with director Julius Onah, Marvel's Captain America, Brave New World, and the Basquiat biopic Samo Lives. His latest feature, Savage House, stars Richard E. Grant and Claire Foy as 18th century English aristocrats hoping to raise their social standing by hosting a dinner party for the Duke and Duchess of Devonshire. It's newly available on digital and on demand, and filled with actors having a grand old time. You should check it out. Peter chose a movie I've been expecting to have on the show for a long time now, Barton Fink, the film that took Joel and Ethan Coen from indie darlings to award-winning auteurs, landing 3 major prizes at the 1991 Cannes Film Festival for Best Director, Best Actor for John Turturro, and of course, the Palme d'Or. Surrounding Turturro with an incredible supporting cast that includes John Goodman, Michael Lerner, John Mahoney, Judy Davis, and Tony Shalhoub, it's a comedy, a tragedy, a horror film, and a statement of artistic purpose. And it's also one of the best movies ever made about writer's block. We can all relate, right? This is Someone Else's Movie.
Obviously, for any cinephile or director, incredibly difficult to pick one movie. You don't want to be too obvious. Obviously, The Shining, Chinatown, Network, all these things. And then I was thinking about my movie, and I didn't want to be too obscure, Draftsman's Contract, all that. And then I just thought of what movie have I loved for 30 years that inspired me as a kid, that inspired my film that I just made, and it was Barton Fink. The funny part is that when I really tried to think of it, I couldn't remember exactly when I saw it first, but I remember when I discovered it in that. So I remember when I saw Fargo in the cinema. It was, 96 or something. I was probably 13. And like everyone else, it was incredible. And for my little brain, I wanted to see more movies like that. I rushed to the local video store, the pimpled, teen behind the counter. I said, I want to see more movies from this director. And they pointed me to, obviously, Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, and Barton Fink. And if I'm honest, at that time, I had already been doing that for a couple of years. I mean, like everyone else, I guess maybe 94, Pulp Fiction, became obsessed. First time I saw, really a director at play. I was just wanting to see more movies that were that strange and that bizarre. And that was the first time I asked the video store clerk, I want to see more movies like this. Obviously guided to Reservoir and all that. So I don't remember seeing it for the first time, but I remember looking at that VHS cover with, Turturro with those bug eyes and those Coke bottle glasses that I would later learn is Clifford Odets, but I didn't know that at the time. And this mosquito on his head, I didn't know if it was a horror movie, it was a comedy. And I was I have to watch this. And of course, the moment I put it in, I was mesmerized. I mean, I don't know for everyone who hasn't seen it in a while, it opens with this so beautiful, like the slow push in on wallpapers, the credits roll, a Carter Burwell score kind of comes up, and it's just like spellbinding. And then it cuts this incredible, huge boom, you're booming down, 40-something feet down this shadowy rope, and you don't know if it's a curtain or if someone's being hanged. You don't know what it is. And eventually, it makes it to a stagehand, the common man, and then it dollies out, and you land on Barton as he's watching his play. You don't see the play, you hear it off camera, and immediately, as he's mouthing the words, you're inside his mind. And in that single shot is the entire movie. Is the death, the shadows, the common man, leaving that for him in his tuxedo, being inside of his mind. And from then on, I mean, just Deakins and the Coen, it's just a masterclass in subjective filmmaking. I think the next scene, it cuts to the after party, and you're immediately already like in his POV as the maitre d's guiding you to the table. The elites are, of course, talking about the common man. All the themes are there. Is just incredible. There's a shot in there that I actually took from my movie Savage House, where they do these amazing specials, and they do it in all of their films, but I just remember it in this movie. It's an over the shoulder in that first scene, and it just so elegantly buttons the scene with it whip pans off of Barton's shoulder and pushes in right as the page rings a bell. And I fully did that exact same shot in Savage House. And yeah, I don't know. It's really a masterpiece. And what's so interesting also is I think the whole movie is almost subjective, just the way he's using his camera, the slow push in on the wallpaper peeling, the gelatinous goo, the rows of shoes as he's pushing down that amazing hallway, which is very The Shining. And then the midpoint happens. And I don't know if this is true, or I think it's the midpoint. I'm not quite sure. For the first time, it breaks subjectivity. Like it's when Barton finally makes love to Judy Davis. I think her name's Audrey. And right as he kind of tastes the forbidden fruit and they embrace, the camera moves away from them. For the first time, it's not subjective, it's objective, it's unmotivated, and it pushes into the sink, into this black abyss. And of course, when he wakes up, he sees her naked shoulder, our infamous mosquito, and the moment he slaps that mosquito and the blood starts to pour out, it is this kind of Kafkaesque fever dream race to the finish, this descent into hell, and just magic, just like, masterclass. It's just, and so much of that, I rewatched it a couple of days ago, so much of that is in my movie Savage House, consciously or not, and just amazing.
Yeah, it's weird that no one has picked this before, I guess is what I'm coming back to, because I've been doing the show for 11 years now, and this is episode 620 something, or 610 something, and no one has wanted to tackle it. It's come up before, people have floated it, and it's something I'm seeing recently. Like this year, we've finally done like Taxi Driver for the first time, and Night of the Living Dead. And
I love the great director, great film too, Islands.
Yeah. And he had stuff to say about it that I think his experience of coming to it and seeing it in Germany on videotape and dubbed before he discovered the real version. All these episodes have piled up, and everybody has picked favorites, and there are legitimate classics in there, but somehow I think right now people are relaxing enough to talk about the big ones, and this is the other theory, it's a generational thing. And now we're getting a new generation of people in their 30s and 40s who are seeing this stuff as canonical, but not quite intimidating in the way that the previous generations might have. I truly don't know.
I think it's interesting. I am just so thankful. I'm 43. I'm so thankful that I grew up in the 90s with the video store instead of the algorithm. I'm so thankful that I got to come up with, PTA and Payne and the Coens and just the whole new American new wave of auteurs in the 90s. And it was just this incredible confluence of just a booming Clinton economy, Sundance, and the almighty safety net of video store sales that we don't have now. And so it allowed these guys to just take incredible big swings and just make art and combine genres and just have a voice. And, I might sound like old hat, but like so many of my favorite movies are still the 90s. I go back, if you look on IMDb and look at 94, 95, 96, 97, it is just filled with incredible movies. There's more amazing movies in 94 than there's been in the last decade, probably. And I just feel so fortunate. And for whatever reason, I love all the Coens, but Barton's held true. I don't know if I should tell the story to the average person listening in, but it's essentially about a New York Jewish screenwriter, which I can relate to, going to Hollywood to kind of, dine out on his little success. And of course he's corrupted by, the Hollywood system. We've all taken paychecks maybe we shouldn't have and done those things. And it turns into this kind of Faustian bargain. And I think both as a viewer and as a writer, I love these kind of Faustian bargain cautionary tales. I mean, I think of, obviously Kaufman is, influenced a little bit by Barton. You think of adaptation, you think of Being John Malkovich, you think of Frankenheimer Seconds. All of these films are, just that Faustian bargain, that descent into madness, that pursuit of the grass is always greener, and the fallacy of it. And I don't know, and it all comes back, I guess it all comes back to The Shining. I would say The Shining is maybe my favorite movie, and I can just see the Coens' influence. I mean, The Overlook and The Earl are very similar. They're both about writer's block. They're both about a descent into madness. They both do these slow, kind of eerie push-ins. The use of the camera is very related. And there's a magic. Obviously, Barton has more jokes in it, but I think they both kind of have a heightened reality that allows you to go inside the character, and the production design and the cinema, everything. It's allow you inside the isolation and the interior life of your character. And I just love. And I tried to do it in my movie, Savage House. It's similar kind of contained location, descent into madness, Faustian bargain, all of that stuff. But I love when a movie is just made like and embodies the lead character. Like it just feels like a reflection of it. All of your heads of department. I mean, I know it sounds pretentious to say words like mise en scène, but to have it all kind of fit together. And Barton is just a masterclass in that, and The Shining before it, and all those movies. I don't know why I love them. I think I'm going to play it. You can probably say it better than me. There's this great that Kubrick quote where he says he has a weakness for or a penchant for artists and criminals because they don't see the world like everyone else, and that drama is the conflict between kind of the dream crashing into reality in some facet, and that we love as audience also that. I think we love criminals and artists because we want to see them succeed, but we find them interesting, but we also, the moment they have their glory, you want to see them fail. And, I don't know, The Shining, Barton do that so well. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the underpinnings of the American moral character, right? Like the idea that you should want everything, but you'll pay for it.
Yes.
And especially now, Jesus, people are getting away with stuff. Like people aren't paying for stuff and getting away with stuff everywhere, and it seems that all the wrong people are succeeding. And I kind of wonder too, revisiting Barton Fink now in the context of the Coens' larger career, because this is only their fourth feature, that this feels like their anxieties about their own success captured in a way that maybe wouldn't happen again until, let's say, A Serious Man. Like the rare introspection they allow themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they're outsiders, and they always love outsiders. And I can't even imagine Michael Lerner's version of Louis B. I mean, it is hysterical. But I mean, besides being a writer-director of these kind of small, interesting films like Savage House, I wrote Captain America, a writer on, part of a team, and other things. You constantly feel like you are sitting across from Michael Lerner, or you're in The Player, and nothing has changed. I can't even imagine those guys at that moment, what was being kind of offered to them, because they were a new voice. And I'm just so happy they, instead of taking that bait, they flipped it on its head and made something like Barton. I mean, also, the idea that they wrote it in 3 weeks while, in writer's block, I guess, on Miller's Crossing, I don't know how much of that is true, but that's the lore. Yeah. I mean, I think, and their movie is a masterclass, not mine, but I wrote the first draft of Savage House in 3 weeks in a similar kind of, it was during COVID. I had another film that was supposed to go and it fell apart. And I just, in some kind of cathartic purge, just blurted this out. There was a lot of rewriting afterwards. But I think there's a magic to when you just kind of let it out and you don't have all these preconceived ideas. And I'm so in awe. And I should also say, like, growing up, idolizing them, as I think a lot of us did, because they really did combine humor and just cinema in a way that I think no one else does. And often comedy is just overlit, played in a wide. You're not allowed to use classical music and drama. We know how the buckets they put them in, and they just always just mashed it together in such a beautiful, true way. And something that I do, and I don't know if it was from them at a young age, just learning about it. I storyboard every frame. I know they storyboard every frame. For me, I was a painter first. It's my last rewrite. They edit their own movies, or they did a lot of them, and I edit my films. Like I just feel like as a young impressionable filmmaker, hearing about their process, it made sense to me, and it still makes sense to me. And when I still watch Barton like a couple of days ago, every time you watch it, it unveils something new, and it's just as fresh and incredible as before. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are worse careers to emulate. There are worse mentors to have.
I mean, my
right?
career is not. I don't want to by any means put me on the same pedestal. I'm just saying their process, their aesthetic, their tone. It's just, it's inspiring. It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the other thing, I absolutely agree with you about seeing new things every time. My latest viewing was realizing that this is the first movie where you get to see both brothers kind of fighting for the steering wheel in a weird way, because subsequently to their temporary, hopefully, dissolution of their partnership and working separately, it's become really, really clear that Joel is the serious one who has an eye towards cinematography, and the proscenium arch feel of his Macbeth film is so specific and resonant with things like Miller's Crossing and other films where they've gone for that stark, no country, that kind of thing. And then Ethan is the one who really, really wants people to understand that he's the funny one.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen his plays too. Yeah,
I've heard of them. I have not seen them, but I'm aware of the material.
I've seen them on stage. They're just short sketches, like straight out of Raising Arizona or something. And I love them both. But I think you're right that it is this perfect marriage of just their two aesthetics, and it's maybe the greatest example. I feel like we should also credit the other people. I mean, this is the first time Deakins shot the film. For them. I think he did 12, 13 more. This was the beginning of it. And we should all thank Addams Family and Tim Burton rejecting the directorial offer sheet so Barry Sonnenfeld would go make it, freeing up the master that is Deakins, and just cinema history is all the more thankful. Just the production designer, the costumes, every aspect of that movie is incredible. I mean, again, trying to emulate a part of that in Savatage, I think what he does so good, besides the cinema and the humor, is it's so heightened and stylized. It's so absurd, and yet it is so real. You can feel it. You see the sweat on his head. You see the goo on the wallpaper. You see the grime on the shoes, and that juxtaposition is just. It's just magic. I would always tell my crew, like, let's find the beauty in the rot. The decadence and decay are the same, two sides of the same coin, and just try and get that texture. And even when I remember first zooming with Claire Foy's in my movie. She's never really done comedy before, and she was like nervous about the absurdity and the comedy. And I was like, I am going to make it absurd. I'll set up, the pieces on the chessboard. This is going to be a absurd situation. You play it as truthfully as possible, and it'll be all the funnier for it. And I feel like the Coens do that almost better than anyone. Like, it is, I mean, when Barton wakes up and sees the blood just oozing out of her body and just screams to high heaven, I mean, it's like a horror movie, but it's hilarious. And then, again, the reality, the dream bumping, the reality, when he scurries to the bathroom and watches through the sliver of the door ajar, and John Goodman's carrying her body, wrapped in a sheet, and her head clunks the dresser. I mean, it's just hilarious. And you know what? That probably would have happened. And they're just incredible at just mining humor in the darkest of shadows, and vice versa. They're just it's great.
Yeah, I still can't. I mean, I know they wrote the role of Monk for Goodman because they liked his vibe, which is like the weirdest thing you can say about that character and that actor, because John Goodman is the sweetest human being in the world. But yeah, you can feel like this need to connect that he has, and this inability to get, like, Barton just doesn't care, which of course is the simple irony that the playwright doesn't care about the common man in the slightest. But if it is all taking place in Barton's head, which it may well be, and I love the ambiguity, I don't want to know. I don't think it's important. I know a lot of people were frustrated by it, myself included initially, and then immediately realizing, no, that's the whole point. I think that Goodman being so chummy, so likable, and the only warm person that Barton meets in Hollywood, the single human being, because everybody else is a caricature, including, sadly, Audrey, who's just this long-suffering, secret muse. We've heard of those people. We
Sure.
do not encounter a person like Munch is it Monk or Muntz? I'm screwing it up, aren't I?
No,
It's Muntz.
he becomes that. He starts as Charlie Meadows, and then he's like Munt or Muntsker, something like that. Yeah, Batman Munt.
And maybe he really only is Charlie Meadows, and he becomes Munt in Barton's hallucinations, or vice versa. But the idea that he can have this sweet gentleman, this traveling salesman, your classic salt of the earth guy who just wants to hang out with him and tell him some stories, and literally says that over and over again. And he just doesn't have any time for him because he'd prefer to be blocked while pursuing the truth, whatever the truth is. It's a running gag that's so simple, right? Like it is just, and it's like the Laurel and Hardy contrast they have visually.
And just visually, they're like a 10. They're like a 1 and a 0. Like you got this lanky turtle, and then you got this rotund boulder of a man. And like you said, the whole time he's just trying to help him. All he wants to do is help him, and he's not listening, and not listening, and not listening. And then, hey, you get to wax, paper parcel with a severed head possibly in it. I mean, how it turns. And I don't know if after the midpoint, if it is just a fever dream or if it's real. I don't care. I love how that just gets amalgamated. I love just the burning inferno in the long corridor. I love just when he delivers when Turturro delivers the script to Michael Lerner, and he's like, I just wanted to write something beautiful, something true. And he just dismisses it as whatever he calls it, and essentially says, I now own you. I can get another Fink, that Fink feeling I can find anywhere. And he's now in contractual purgatory, and you're just on the face of him. The whole movie, he's been striving to do this. He finally achieves. It's like the Kubrick. He finally achieves the thing and is just cut off at the knees. It's just, it's incredible. And the final image, we should talk about the final image is like iconic. It's incredible. The painting on the wall. The best line in the movie is probably him sitting down with the parcel on the beach, looking at this girl and asking if she's in the pictures. Just like all the layers of that, it's just incredible. And again, like you don't know, is this real? Is this him kind of falling inside of the muse, inside of the image? And again, I totally took a bit, like my movie ends, Savage, without giving too much away, inside of our character ends up in a place that you don't know, is it a prison cell or is it the pig farm barn from when he was a kid? I shot them very similarly, even though it's a reference to Hogarth and all these other things. I love the idea of leaning into the ambiguity. And not only do they do that, they do it with just so much wit and humor. The seagull dropping dead at the end. It's just, it's really perfect, and it's perfect in its imperfection, and it's and not trying to tie it in a bow, because it's a lot easier to tie it in a bow. You need to be so in control of the craft and where the audience is to let it hang the way they do. And it's just great. Goodman is great. Lerner's great. I love Joe Polito. He's the dry cleaning salesman and the man who wasn't there. And he's just always, their whole ensemble, that little theater group that they have. They just shine in every role. It's it's great. It's great.
Yeah, Shaloub too. When you say your favorite line is that, my favorite line is Jack Lipton told you your script was good. Jack Lipton can't read, and
he has another line that I reference all the time. Because in LA, when you have dinner and someone says, "Oh, what do you do?" I just always think of Shaloub in that scene where I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm a writer like everyone else. You can throw a rock and you'll hit one, and Fink, throw it hard." I see Shaloub's amazing in it. All those guys I feel like they could have had a better role. I know he did Monk and other things. He's just incredible in it.
Yeah, and he shows up in The Man Who Wasn't There as well, right? He's the lawyer.
He's the lawyer.
Just the guy that you call when you want somebody to knock it out of the park in 2 scenes and hang around for dinner maybe afterwards.
And even when it seems like someone could be chewing up the scene, they're so absurd, they're larger than life. They're all grounded. They're all human. They're all sweaty and interested. And again, very different. And I just keep talking about my movie because this is where my brain is these days. But in Sabotage, Richard E. Grant, he's the lead in it. And I always tell him, he has the superpower. it doesn't matter how absurd or how big he goes. There's something always so heartbreaking and human about him. And I felt like the Coens and whoever the casting director is, I don't know, but they were always so good at being able to navigate that of balancing the absurd and the human. And just, I mean, they're all theater actors. They're all, I mean, just, it's incredible ensemble.
Hey, it's Norm interrupting my own show to bring you up to speed on Shiny Things, my newsletter about physical media, culture, and the odd streaming project. Last week, I caught up to a whole whack of catalog releases, including Once a Thief, Henry and June, The Trigger Effect, Morris, and The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. And subscribers to the paid tier also got my exclusive reviews of I Want Your Sex, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and President Curtis in Friday's What's Worth Watching. Sign up for a 14-day free trial at shiny-things.ghost.io and get caught up.
I mean, thinking about John Mahoney, who plays the Faulkner analog, or Tennessee Williams, I'm not sure who he's supposed to be. He's a sort of an amalgam.
Yeah, I think he's Faulkner. I don't know. Yeah.
The thing he can do that nobody else can in the movie, I think, not even Turturro, is just have the horror behind his eyes for 2 seconds here or there, where he's happy, he's smiling, but the smile doesn't reach his eyes. And you just get the sense of this hollowness that obviously this is Barton's future. He will be stuck in this role, unable to do anything. But it's a personalized tragedy as well, because Mahoney is so cheerful until he only breaks down when we can't see him, which is somehow even more disturbing.
Again, off camera. The movie does a lot of off camera stuff, so you're so in the mind of it. Yeah, what's interesting is like when you're young and you watch the movie, or when I was, like, it's a lot of fun, descent into madness. Okay, there's flames, it's this heaven, hell, purgatory, it works on so many levels. And then you get older and you learn about the group theater and you learn about Clifford Odets and Waiting for Lefty, which funnily I put up as a play when I was in college, which also has a lot of similarity to Savage House in that the characters are waiting for something that may not arrive or someone that may not arrive. And then you learn about Faulkner and obviously Fitzgerald, who was one of my favorite authors, as silly as some of these things seem, it is all steeped in history and in truth. And even, I think, and I'm not sure because it's been a while, but I think even the ridiculous scene where Michael Lerner as the
uniform
head, the uniform is real, right? Was it Louis B or was it Jack Warner? One of them really had them make a general's costume and walked around in it. I think there is a semblance of truth in that. Again, the truer you play it, the funnier it is. This truth is stranger than fiction.
Well, and it speaks to me too of their incredible, as much credit as people give Tarantino for being this pop culture garburator who can just take all sorts of things in and spit out an original work. That work is always the same. It's always a Tarantino movie. It's that specific vibe, that specific flavor, whatever you want to call it. The Coens will change their style up and still somehow show you a new thing that they like, but they'll inhabit that thing so fully and completely. I mean, I'm one of the few people who still waves the flag for intolerable cruelty, but that movie is doing exactly what they want it to do.
Right on the edge for me. I mean, there's it was that and Lady Killers. I'm not so sure, but almost everything else they're batting 100. I do agree. It's interesting. Tarantino, maybe not Inglourious or something like that, but for the most part, he has his voice is so singular and you're so aware you're making it, and they're often present day, although recently once upon a time, he's gone back into the past. The thing about the Coens is they do genuinely tackle completely different genres, and yet somehow it still comes out as them. I mean, look at how prevalent the score is in this movie. Then look at No Country. There's no score. Mm-hmm. And that movie is dead serious, though there's some uncomfortable humor in there. But it's all their voice. It's and in a way taps into a deeper history of of the American myth, of Americana, of the American dream, of being the outsider. Everyone in Tarantino's movie, and I love Tarantino, they're the cool kids. They're there's something about the longing of the outsider, of the chasing of the American dream, of coming up short, of hubris. I mean, again, No Country, he stumbles onto this money and he tries to make the best of it. It's not dissimilar. I just love their themes. I think tap into something at least a bit deeper in me as a storyteller. But yeah, I mean, I love Tarantino. I love, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Tarantino is interested in myths, and the Coens are interested in unpacking them. I think it really is that simple.
That's interesting. Sure.
That, he makes a movie about Hollywood in 1969 and the Manson family and Sharon Tate, and somehow decides that he'll make a bigger mythological version of it where the bad guys are punished and the good guys win, or he does the same thing in Inglourious Bastards, just rewrites history because it's more pleasing. And I get it, it's print the legend, but I much prefer someone exploring why the fascination with those moments and why people are interested in what happened then without necessarily altering the course to prove a point. It's and I'm not trying to draw you into a whole larger thing, but
because they're both up here for me on the pedestal. But you're right. I think there's also just something psychological that's just deeper in a lot of. Not I don't want to compare them anymore, but the Coens, there's just something so psychological about it, and the use of their camera and the confluence of all of their heads of department, how they're able to capture that razor's edge of a tone is just. Yeah, and I'll compare, like Tarantino, how much they've been emulated, how much they've changed cinema history and all the copies of the copies of the copies of the copies that exist because of them. They've invented genres in and of themselves, and it's just a testament. And I hope they come back together and make movies together because they're the better for it,
So too. And I know they like each other. I think they just wanted a break and wanted to come up with different challenges, then they couldn't agree on which challenges to take on. So they decided to make them all at once separately. Respect that. And again, there's merit to both of the things that they're doing. But yeah, I was thinking about Barton Fink also in relationship to the other movies when you said that, the explosion of films in the 90s that changed the possibilities of sort of the mid-range film. I don't think the Coens would be able to function now as they did then because they worked quickly and cheaply, and the expectations were never as important, right? The release, it didn't matter if it made 100 million or 20 million.
Yeah, the video store. Okay. I mean, a lot of people spoke about it more eloquently than I can, but there was this incredible safety net. You knew if it didn't do an opening weekend, you had this whole other life that it could live, that you could make money back, and it allowed a lot of independent films, especially like the rise of Sundance and this, everyone wanting their own Pulp Fiction. I mean, so many great American auteurs came out of that movement. I mean, look at Boogie Nights or Hard Eight, which I think is maybe even better, incredible. All of those movies in that moment, and just now, it's just not that way at all. I mean, the streaming market is pales in comparison to the golden parachute of the video store, and even as the residuals on it, no one is winning like they used to, and it just puts so much more reliance on this opening weekend and all these things, and so people take less chances. And when they take less chances and we're just regurgitating the same stuff, you're getting less original filmmakers, and we're promoting and getting behind less voices, new voices. It's great. I mean, when you look back on it, even like Wes, I mean, Bottle Rocket short in black and white, and then all of a sudden he's got, I don't know, 8-9 million in 1995 money, to go make, it looks like it was made for 2 cents, but that's the magic of it. No one is doing that now, and I fear where that can go, but I always want to be hopeful. I'm an optimistic, glass half full kind of person, but it's the 90s was a great time. I'm sorry. That's when I came up, because it's tough now. It's definitely harder for obviously emerging filmmakers or even established filmmakers right now to take those kinds of chances.
Yeah. Well, and I think also streaming has compromised is a terrible word because it doesn't go far enough, but streaming has compromised the potential for exposure for growing filmmakers. I worked in video stores in the 80s. It was my film school. I went to film school. It was still my film school. You had more access. You could watch what you wanted to watch, and you could pursue your own interests and find things. And the fact that there was a human behind the desk to steer people, invaluable. And when those went away, I guess 15 years ago now, maybe 20?
Something like that.
I'm trying to remember the last time I was in LA and I bought discs at the Blockbuster on La Cienega because they were closing it out. Came out with an armload of DVDs or Blu-rays even. But the lack of direction now, and we have things like Letterboxd and we have social media, but they're not the same. They're not as open to discovery. And you can, I mean, the Coens alone are an incredible roadmap to every genre and
100%.
Tone.
And like I said,
yeah.
I just think the loss of discovery is a huge thing. I just think it's, the journey I had to go on to find a Japanese dubbed version of Holy Mountain or whatever I had to do. Like, the discovery is such a huge thing. And now that you can just click, click, click on your thing, and I sound like an old man, but I do think something is lost in that. Just from the discovery, the magic of it. And obviously the finance side is incredibly real. I mean, all those filmmakers, I don't think they would have been able to make something so left of center, so original, if it was in today's market, unfortunately. I mean, the Coens, but it's interesting. It's not as recent, but like looking at A Serious Man, it's kind of like a sister or a brother to Barton Fink in some way. As I would say is maybe my second favorite. It's amazing that they were even able to make that, and that's even more of a Jewish story or whatever of their youth. But it has so many similar themes, and I feel like equally it is this beautiful kind of marriage of it. But yeah, I don't even know if someone would if they could make A Serious Man now. Like, even since then, it's changed so much. It's it's a strange time. I don't want to get too bleak about where we are, but there's lots of great movies still being made. It's just it's just harder. It is,
Yeah, I find it really instructive too that the Coens, whether they knew it or not, they were making the kind of mid-range movie that became undesirable about 2010 when, Batman versus Superman, or no, that was 2016 or so, but by 2010 it was already happening. Like, people were foregoing the $20-40 million budget for the blockbusters because you got more on your return. Sure. Even with a middling performance, you pull in $500 million on a $100 million investment, you still made $400 million. When Batman versus Superman underperformed, Warner proudly announced that they were just going to stop making mid-range films and really focus on the blockbusters, which I think that was the same year Midnight Special had come out, which cost nothing and is one of the triumphant weird movies in Jeff Nichols' canon.
I think that movie's a perfect movie to the last 10 minutes. I didn't need to see the future. I didn't need to see Tomorrowland. But I think it's an incredible, perfect movie. I mean, it just shows you, like, in the same year, Paramount Vantage made There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men, and they shuttered the next year. And it's sad. I mean, in a way, the film industry often emulates America and the economy. And the mid-range movie, of which the adult drama that we all love and grew up loving and won many Oscars and Palme d'Ors and all those things, as the middle class in America began to get swallowed, and there was a polarization in our economy, the rich get richer, the poor got poorer, the middle class got swallowed up. This is not, post-war anymore. The middle class of cinema got swallowed up as well. And I don't know what the direct correlation is there. I'm sure someone's written a very intelligent essay on that, but they always seem to mirror each other in a way. The way that, again, the economy was booming in the 90s under Clinton, and that very thing boomed in cinema as well. And I just think right now, budgets either getting super tiny for genre things or still kind of quite gigantic on the other end, and that middle class is swallowed. And I think everyone that comes on your podcast, almost all of our favorite films and almost all the films I'm sure you talk about are in that sweet spot, in that mid-range. And that's where the good stuff happens,
Yeah. Well, and that kind of does bring me to Savage House, which is a very small, intimate production, right? Like, it's got scale, but it's made consciously in a single location, more or less, in a single point of view, again, more or less, but you're working with these giant concepts, much like the Coens do here and there. And you're really drilling into a specific genre, a thing we think we recognize, but then you're taking it apart from the inside and just like literally poking at the wounds that these characters are carrying around to see what happens. And somehow you've managed to find a medium, that a visual analog to the literary tragedies that aren't really tragedies because the author is enjoying the misfortune of the characters a little too much, which I thought was kind of neat.
Yeah, the budget, I won't say how small, but it was small. And it was because of how tight we brought it in that we were able to kind of have the creative freedoms we did. And again, storyboarding every frame, you don't always follow it. It's not dogma, but it allowed, 2 inches to the right or to the left, and it all falls apart. And I think that allowed us to kind of, just put as much as we could on screen and cast a crew was just A+. But yeah, like Barton, which is not a single location, but it is largely in that hotel, or like The Shining, which again is in. Sometimes the more constrained you are, and the smaller you make it in that facet, the more universal it becomes. It becomes like a play. It becomes something bigger. And yeah, I don't know. I just fell in love with these crazy characters doing this crazy stuff, and I just tried to, like I would imagine what the Coens were doing, just tried to make a very dark mirror of our times now. And like we were talking about before, just the truer I made it, the truer I told the story of what they went through in the 18th century to create this illusion of wealth and regality, whether it was brushing their teeth till their gums bled, or the syphilitic sores, or the beauty marks, or they knew there was poisonous lead in their makeup, but they did it anyway. They were just killing themselves to create this illusion of wealth and regality. And I feel like there's a very unfortunate, tragic, absurd, and funny analogous to today and what people do with Instagram and all that stuff. And I just, again, at the time that said in 1715, there was a disputed king, there was a Jacobite uprising, there was a pox outbreak, and, it's not unlike our, no kings, rallies and COVID and all of that. And I just tried to hopefully speak to today as a backdrop, but without having too much baggage, and it being a fun, wild ride. And it's just so absurd and so ridiculous. And outside of film, I'm sure most listeners don't know this painter, but there's a guy named William Hogarth, and he was kind of the first, I would say the first storyboard artist, but the first kind of cartoonist and satirist that really poke holes into that time. And what's strange is, like, our perception of the 18th century, whether it's the paintings or cinema or whatever, it's these commissioned paintings. Everyone looks richer and more handsome and skinnier and more beautiful. It is not reality. It's like the Instagram filter of it. And then for whatever reason, and there's a lot of filmmakers I love, we made movies that were emulating the copy of the real thing. And often the poor, like a Monty Pythons, are, these mud-caked, crooked teeth, whatever. And I love Monty Pythons. But then the wealthy are always, dangerous liaisons. And the truth is, it wasn't that far apart. What they did to themselves, and Hogarth was kind of the first one to show that, to poke holes in that. And, there's been a lot of great period dramas and comedies before me. There's a long history in British cinema of subverting the genre. Obviously, Barry Lyndon and Tom Jones and all of that. Recently, The Favourite. I felt like for me, to carve my own slice of it, that was my sweet spot, was to show the grotesque, to show what they were willing to do to create the illusion, and then hopefully poke some holes in it. I've seen a lot of period films. I've never seen a slop pail full of excrement underneath whatever the lady's bed is. I've never seen the piles of waste in the alleyways. I've never seen these things that were 100% real, and I just felt like the more I showed it, the funnier it was. And also, the more poignant it was in the mirror to today. And again, to go back to Barton Fink, I just think they did it better than anyone. Just like it is equally so absurd, but whether it's Michael Lerner's costume or whatever the details might be, Clifford Odets' glasses, all of it, it's grounded in a reality. And yeah, if you can make it work, that's when you can get something special. So I'm very much in a long lineage of it, but just tried to hopefully carve our own path, find our own little piece of the pie. I don't know.
The sense, too, that we're watching someone destroy himself. Like, we're watching him. The whole point of that period, those portraits, they had the money to pay the painter. They didn't have any other money, right? Like, that's what they put it into. And that's what Savage is doing.
Yes.
The sense that as long as you're memorialized, it doesn't matter what you actually did
That's
to
very
get
well
there.
said. what was also interesting was I didn't realize until I rewatched it a couple of days ago, I didn't think about it, like Barton Fink, Fink is obviously a rat. Like they use a thematic tool inside the name of itself. Obviously my family is the Savages. I don't know, there's just so many, when rewatching it the other day, I just saw so many parallels. Like the idea that obviously there's like a dead body around the midpoint. I have a dead body. Then the cops come, and then he has to like lie and slither his way out of it. I have a similar thing. There's this nightmare sequence where it's kind of like a hell. Like I don't know if I realized how much was in there. And we talked about, I love Descent into Madness. There's so few that are a comic Descent into Madness. And it's really the peak of that. I mean, I also love, I don't know, I'm sure you've seen Richard Ayoade's The Doubles, I guess a comic, Descent into Madness. Maybe being John Malkovich in some facet. Yeah.
Yeah. My comp for this is, it came out 3 months later. It was Naked Lunch, Cronenberg's film.
Yes, of course.
Yes. Isn't comic, except that it is really funny. Like Cronenberg is constantly, I know him a tiny bit, and he is constantly complaining that no one gives him enough credit for his comedy. It's just like lock him in a room with Naked Lunch. It's hysterical.
He's hilarious. It's interesting. I hadn't thought about it. Naked Lunch. Yeah, I mean, even like he is great. It's also like they find in the grotesque, they find something more true or something. They find some deeper truth, and they find the humor, and all that stuff is hopefully in the stew of Savage House. I mean, it's where I don't know. I guess it's a comedy, but it's also. It's kind of like a horror movie. It's a descent into madness, and Barton's the pinnacle of all that.
My thanks to Peter Glanz, whose new film Savage House is now available on digital and on demand throughout North America. Thanks also to Pamela Grant. She knows what she did. You can find Peter on Instagram at Peter Glanz, all one word, and you can find Barton Fink on Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. It's also streaming on Hoopla in the US and Canada, and available to rent or buy on various VOD services across North America. You can find me on Blue Sky at Norm Wilner, and you can find this podcast there at Semcast, S-E-M-Cast, and on the web at someoneelsesmovie.com. The first year of the show is still available for just $20 at payup.com/Semcast. That's the first 52 episodes of Someone Else's Movie, 40 of which aren't currently available anywhere else. And check out my newsletter, Shiny Things, at shiny-things.ghost.io. I think you'll enjoy it. Our theme song is by The Last Year. If you like it, or the show in general, please say so. Leave a review wherever you've been listening. Every little bit helps, it truly does. And check out the other shows on the Frequency Podcast Network while you're doing that. Stay safe, watch movies, get all the boosters. I'll see you next week.